Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Happy New Year. It's been a minute. LolaAjisafe here. So what are we doing today? We're going to start, I won't call it reviewing. I'm going to give you my reflections of Ready to Love. Now, yeah, we're episode 2 in, but after watching episode 1, I couldn't let it go by just dropping just a few things. But before we start, housekeeping rules once again. It's been a minute and I'm glad to be back. I felt like I had something to say. My spirit was like, it's time to talk. But first and foremost, please don't forget to like the video. We've been out the algorithm for a while, so I'm going to need those likes. Second, you know what? Or more importantly, I really, of course, want to hear what you guys think about what I'm going to say. I'm just going to drop just a few lines before we get to episode 2, which is the current episode. But just, kind of tell me what you think about what we're talking about. Because now I really want to focus more on the reflections of what's going on, as opposed to just telling you count by count what happened. Because you saw what happened. But I just want to share my opinions and see what your opinions are on what we saw. And keep in mind, when we talk about these characters, because we know it's a show, we're not talking about them as, individuals in their private life. We're simply reflecting and, reviewing or reflecting what we see on camera. So y'all don't come to me about, la. So, and I guess, last of all, if you haven't subscribed, I've been gone a minute, couple people dropped off. Come back. I'm here. I'm not going anywhere. Please hit the subscribe button. All right. So what are we doing now? This is season 7. I'm just going to touch on episode 1. Forgive me, I couldn't let it go. But a couple things happened. I said, we need to talk about this. So let's talk about this. Ready to Love. The whole thing about talking about Ready to Love for me is like, how it reflects real life. Whether it's, manipulated by producers or not, it still kind of reflects real life. And so when we start talking about, real life dating, what are we really talking about? I think one of the big issues, there are 2 big issues, and these probably should be like separate videos. So if y'all want to holler in the comments and tell me if y'all want to talk about it, let's do that. But I think one of the big issues that's coming up now, particularly in this episode, is when we talk about dating. First and foremost, what are we looking at? When we look at people coupling up, I really feel it comes down to compatibility. And when you dig into compatibility, one of the big things in terms of compatibility is traditional versus like the modern. I don't know, some people use the term modern in a derogatory manner, but I'm just saying there seem to be 2 schools of thought, depending on what you're talking about. I probably sit right in the middle combo, but it just seems so. If you're with someone who's traditional in every way and you're not, right there, that's an incompatibility, unless there can be some even ground, middle ground that you guys can find. But anyway, without further ado, let's kind of get into it. So the first person we get introduced to is Kovea. Kovea is 31. I think I don't remember what she does, but anyway, Kovea comes in. First impression, she's nice packaging, she's got a lot to say, so of course, keep in mind this is for impression. She could be anything and everything, but what I'm seeing first is someone who just comes off confident. I'll give her that. It's good to be confident, I'll give her that. But then she says something about she's all into the 6 foot size matters. She's 31, so she has time to figure it out. But I don't think that's what we should be leading with. You're going to need to dig a little deeper, but it makes great TV moments, great TV clips to say, 6 foot, blah, 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 size matters. It goes all into that red pill, blue pill nonsense that, it's all over the internet. But does she really believe that? And if she was met with a man who met other more important criteria, would she drop the 6 foot desire? I don't know, but that was just my first question. Second thing that came up, Z. I think she calls, what's she say her full name? I can't remember, but Z for short, says something about she like to baby her man. The question is, if you like to baby your man because you think that's what he likes, is he in return doing what you like, or is that are you doing that to seem more acceptable? Now, coming into one of the personalities, came one of the guys who's like a DJ, VJ, a radio producer. He upfront, even before he said anything about his height, I just felt like he looked a little, I don't use the term scruffy, but not well put together, not well packaged together. His clothes were loose fitting, his pants were loose fitting, his shirt was billowing. For someone with his small frame, he really should have got something that was probably more fitting. That's my opinion. Then he added on to the fact that he said he's short or shorter. I don't know what that means, but already in my mind, when I was looking at him, I was like, okay, is he going to be able to get past the persona that he carries, because he looks like everybody. I feel like automatically you see that guy on TV, he'll be friend zoned, because some people are great for this format and some people aren't. This is not the format for him, in my my humble opinion. He just seemed he's probably a nice guy, he's probably a funny guy, but in this format, would he be funny enough to override all the superficial things that come into making of this show that they think the viewers want to see? Maybe viewers do want to see the superficiality, maybe we do, but right off the bat, I'm looking at this guy like, I don't know how long he's gonna last. There's a scene, Morgan and Lyndon. They get, they're sitting down. So these are one of the couples. They seem to have some kind of chemistry going on. That's yet to be seen. But as they're talking, Morgan seems more laid back, quiet, lives a less rah lifestyle. Whereas, Lyndon is a bar manager, so he's out there, nightlife. And so automatically, my first question, are these two compatible? There might be some attraction, but are they compatible? Because the attraction may start it. But if you continue to follow attraction, later on, the incompatibility will break it down. Because he seems to be all out there and she's not. There's also an age difference, not a huge age difference, but could that be a gap, an even bigger gap in maturity? Because we do say commonly that women mature faster than men. So is that maturity level going to match? I don't know, but it's left to be seen. But I'm curious, these are little markers, for us to keep an eye out. And I was kind of watching it. Next person that came to mind or came onto the screen that made me want to say something was Marcia. Comes off the screen like, I love me. I would love to marry someone like me and be with someone like me. Now, everybody says, no, I'm not a therapist by any means. I'm not a psychiatrist by any means. I think we all say, yeah, love. Everybody says, we all have it here. Miss Shirley Ralph even said it the other day, Golden Globes acceptance speech. Nobody needs to love you like you love you. We all say love you, but yeah, I just feel like she was coming off a little too strong. I love me, so does she truly love herself? And I feel like this is what made me think about, if you truly love yourself, do you need to announce it or just show it? And be about it and wear it and walk in that love? Do you need to announce it, or you just need to be it? So she just felt this constant need to announce, I love me. So to me, is that a mask for some kind of deeper insecurity? Or does she really love herself? And with these, probing questions that the producers asked, and they just kind of clipped it together. But notwithstanding, to me, it just felt like thou doth protest too much. I said, like, okay, good, I get it, you love you, but let's see. This is left to be seen. As she plays along the game, you'll see, does she truly love herself, or was she just, making announcements or trying to present herself in a certain light? But there's something that Marcia did say about feeling safe. And I don't remember who she was sitting with, but she said feeling safe in the presence of man. That's a big thing. And I think all the big issues when men talk about women being a certain way, women being a little too strong, being a little too harsh, I think most of it boils down to a woman feeling safe. If she feels safe with you, that feminine side will come out, because we've been left in because there's always this talk about the modern woman, the modern woman, the modern woman. But the modern woman was created as a result of the modern man. Because nowadays, they're talking about, we said that we want 50-50. We said we want equality. Well, here goes your equality. I think what we've been saying, and I can only speak for myself, people who think like me, I think what we've said in the past was that we shouldn't just be relegated to making babies and cooking in the kitchen, that we have so much more to offer. We didn't say that we are the same. We're not the same. Men come with a certain skill set and women come with another skill set. We're different. We're not trying to be men. We're trying to be women, but we want acceptance. We want respect. Now, a man may need respect more than love, whereas a woman needs love more than she needs respect. But I think we both need both. Shoot me. So this point here is that when a woman feels safe, so if a woman feels safe, you'll get to the true essence of who she is. You will experience the true love of what she can offer. But nowadays, a lot of men already come in. So you meet someone and you're like at work. When people come to me at work, my first question sometimes is, what do they really want? If they're not obviously sick, the question is, what are they really looking for? Because people don't necessarily say what they want up front. There's a game that's constantly played. So this is not all arenas. When a man presents himself to you, yes, your meeting is representative, But if he's playing playing a tighter game, then you can't open up and soften up, because your intuition, that's something that I think we all have intuition, but women have that gift more so. And so your intuition is already warning you. So you've got your guard up. So you can't open up. So I think that's something to tease out as you go along these episodes, that if you can make a woman feel safe, you'll meet the true person she is. Then Tommy goes into the introduction of, blah, 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 but he says something that I thought was important. He said something about, in the dating pool, when you go into a swimming pool, the pool's there's chlorine in the pool, but people are peeing in the pool. There's pee in this dating pool, so beware. What is that pee? You're meeting people, one, who are there to play and not necessarily saying what they want on who they really are. Two, you're meeting some people who not necessarily are trying to play, but they come with their baggage and their trauma and their upbringing. And that may not necessarily be compatible with you. And there's something that we do say when you're in dating field, you tend to attract people who are going to trigger your inner trauma. I don't know how we do it, but that's how we do it. We end up meeting people that will trigger that part of us. And the whole point of that is, if we take our time, we can use that opportunity to heal ourselves. The thing is, when we don't take our time and we rush into something and we don't do the healing, the same lesson keeps getting presented to us over and over and over and over again. But I think that's we're here to be a part of someone's healing process. And then last of all, you just meet people who may be sincere, but sincerely incompatible with you, both on how they view life, how they think, and what they really want. There might be, because sometimes you get overridden by the physical attraction, but you guys are incompatible. So I think when we start paying attention on talking up front, that incompatibility can come up and be like, cut your losses, exit stage left. One of the characters, Demario, I think he's 37, accountant. Immediately I see him, he seems a little straight-laced. He calls himself a numbers guy. Then he starts talking about baddies, long hair. I think he says something about white teeth. And I'm like, okay, is he doing too much to compensate for what he might be judged to be? Or is that truly him? Or is he just editing at its finest? I don't know, that's left to be seen. I got my eye on him, because it didn't look great. He didn't look great in that light, in my opinion. Then another scene that came up here was when Corvea was talking to, they were in a group, and one of the people in the group was Lyndon, the bar manager. And what she said made sense. She said something about she wants someone to be independent. I'm not mad at her. She didn't say he needs to be a billionaire, but she said he needs to be independent. I think at a certain age, you should be clear on what you want. And she's clear that she wants someone independent. I'm not mad. That makes great sense. But already you could see Lyndon's face was like he was making all faces. His spirit was making all sorts of faces. I was like, oh, well, Lyndon, you live with your mama? What's up? Apparently Lyndon he has a roommate. To me, and then of course he goes into his confessional and has an issue with Corvea and is criticizing her for her standards. Red flag number one. If an individual is criticizing you for your standards or your boundaries, it's not their place. That's a red flag. So their place is to either embrace what your boundaries are or not agree with it and keep it moving. It's not your place to criticize. Take it or leave it. You don't have to sit down there and criticize because she doesn't want what you present. If she doesn't want what you present, keep it moving, bro. And so these are things we see in the real dating world. Like, you should have your standards. You should have your boundaries. If someone's criticizing them and trying to play them down, that's a red flag, and it shouldn't be accepted. Even if it's considered flighty, superficial, it's yours. You may now go back and revise them, but if that's what you're coming with, that's what you're coming with. Who is he to, say what is or what isn't? So I got my eye on him, because I'm looking at him sideways, like, oh really? So this is what we're doing? I'm never going to criticize him for having a roommate. Miami is an expensive city. That's his business. But it's also her business to say she wants a man who lives by himself, right? Goes both ways. Now, there's another character, Blake. Decent, attractive appearing. I'll give him that. He goes on, he's having a discussion with the ladies, and he says that he's not in dating apps. Okay, there's an audience for dating apps. There's an audience against dating apps. With everything, there's always good and bad, and you have to wait and see what works for you. But what I do have to agree, or what I would say to be aware of using dating apps sometimes, is I think what the dating apps has done with the men today is it no longer requires them to dip or use that courage that's required to walk up to a woman and introduce yourself. There's a certain amount of courage that is required. See a woman somewhere and walk up to her and introduce yourself with the fear that she might reject you or spurn you or even be rude, but still have that courage to walk up and do that. Men don't do that nowadays. They're all trying to meet. They want to cut that step and meet the person on the app already and do that. But I think what that takes away is your knowledge or understanding of, does he have that inner strength? Does he have that inner bone to step forward, step to you? What is a woman looking for when she's looking for someone with that inner strength? You're looking for a person that, you know, when it comes down to the get down, that he can stand up. When it comes down to the get down, he has the courage that you might desire. So that's the thing. I think that the one drawback for me from apps is, like, some people can no longer walk up to a woman in live time and speak with her and have a conversation. He needs to meet her online to get warm. That takes away a skill set, because when a man walks up to a woman and starts a conversation, that's a skill set that it needs to be developed if it doesn't come naturally. And I think a lot of men nowadays, boys coming up into men, don't know how to do that. You'll hear people talk about, oh, they're in clubs and one side of women, one side of the men, and they're all on their phones. That's why. That's a problem. And I think we've gone a little too far to the left. We need to bring the needle back to the middle, because we need to learn how to have a conversation. And now people talk about, yeah, I even say too that I don't believe a woman should pursue a man and da 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 da. But part of that is because the men are no longer feeling they need to do that. So the women are now trying to compensate. Women, it's not our job to compensate for what they should be doing. And I think we just need to have that conversation. Yeah. And then, of course, we get the couple of the century, couple of the, you know, Rasheed and Symone come in to do a little intro. You know, we remember them from Last Resort, Houston. And I think what's key here, when I remember, is we always pegged Rasheed as a good guy. Rasheed was always a good guy. There was no question there. Symone came off a little, you know, outspoken on her season because she was being herself. She hadn't, and if you think about it, certain clips they put together, I remember there was one scene where they made it look like she was interrogating, I forgot what the chef's name was, like she was just interrogating, boom, boom, boom. But when she explained it, she said it was a long conversation, but they chopped it up. So, but she came herself. But I think what's working for them is because it appears they started off as friends, but they did come as themselves. Most importantly, they came as themselves and they found themselves here, which was lovely to see. That was nice to see. I wish them well. I hope it really works out. But I think I love there's something that, I don't know, did Rasheed say it or did Symone say it? No, I think Symone said this when one of them said it, that your competition is your best self. You're not competing with anybody else. No, you're competing with who you were yesterday. Stamp of approval. I love that statement. I hope they go with it, because I don't want you to feel like, because I always say this thing about us feeling like we need to compete with each other. No, we're not. And then there was a conversation that I believe DeMario was having with Z. Yeah, it was with Z. And he had to bring up this whole alpha, something. Okay, this is how I feel about it. I might have said it before. I don't believe that an alpha needs to announce themselves. She goes on to say, well, I'm an alpha son. Okay, both of y'all are kidding yourselves. Like, I don't walk into the room and say, hey, I'm human. It's a given. I walk, I breathe, I'm a human. I don't have to announce the obvious. If you feel a need to announce the obvious, then maybe it's not so obvious. So I'm looking. That's another thing. I'm looking at him side eye again. Like, you have to announce your alpha, she have to announce his alpha. Y'all are joking. Like, this fad of announcing, oh, I'm an alpha. Sit down. Take several seats. Be who you are. And let me be the judge of what you are. The last thing on this quick, you know, reflection of episode 1 was Blake. So Blake has 3 kids from 3 different women. To some, that would be a red flag, because in the past that hasn't worked out well, but it's left to be seen to meet who he is and find out who he is and what his story is. So we're not going to judge him up front. But I think what I'm having an issue with now is he is walking around like, yeah, they need to accept that he don't want to have kids. I understand very well that he doesn't want kids. That makes sense. But what he needs to do is be very conscious of who his audience is and pick wisely. Pick someone who already has kids. who doesn't want kids. This beautiful woman, what's her name? Jeffries, I think. Gorgeous woman, gorgeous spirit. She's got 3 kids. That would be your perfect partner for you, because I don't think she's looking for any more kids. Boom. So you guys have 6 kids between you. That's a lot, but still, look for someone who wants what you want. Right up front, you're incompatible with quite a number of the ladies. Will this count against him? It might, but his attitude and his demeanor is left to be seen if that will count bigger against him. But what he needs to do is be looking for someone who doesn't want kids. That's not hard to see. That's not a hard thing to find out. You know, someone within his age range or even younger who already has kids. But him, you know, walking around like, okay, well, I don't want kids, and no, don't go chatting to a woman who don't have kids, because she's going to want to have kids. But of course, it's a game show, so he's trying to get himself out there so he don't get voted off the next week. We get this. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Lola, over and out.